Good morning, depending on where you are. It's morning here for me. It is just about 10 a.m. in Salt Lake City, and I'm just going to keep the camera on this Post-it for a minute because I think it'll make it easier to figure out which live video is which later on for people who want to catch up. I am Carly, for those of you who haven't heard me talk before. Family Tree Notebooks is my business, and I'm the one that designs the pages, and I do all the blog posts, and I do all the videos, and all right, it's probably enough of the Post-it. And this is what I look like. I decided that I wanted to do some more live videos on a regular basis because I feel like I have so many blog posts and e-guides and new pages and things that are in the works that I'm constantly trying to get out, that I think that sometimes there's long periods of kind of like quiet time where I'm working on things behind the scenes, but maybe I'm not answering a lot of the little questions, the more immediate things that are coming up, because I know what I'm working on. And so I'm like, oh, well, they're going to love this. I'm just going to work on this for a couple weeks, then it's going to be great. And in the meantime, I feel like people out there are like, what's going on? Are there new pages? What's happening? I have this question and I don't really know where to find the answer. So I'm going to try to come on. I'm hoping to come on regularly around 10 o'clock my time, around this time, Monday through Friday. I say hoping because I have 3 children and they're all in school from home. But I think I can do it. So that's the hope. Okay, so today's topic, I wanted to talk about who shouldn't use Family Tree Notebooks pages, but first I wanted to do a couple little updates, check-in things. I do have new pages coming out for people who have been asking. There is a list going in the Family Tree Notebooks genealogy group. There's a thread, and it's pinned toward the top, so if you are new to the group, you should be able to find it pretty easily. People are commenting and they're leaving suggestions for new page ideas. That is the easiest way to get your suggestion in front of me, just because I know that thread is ever compiling. And so I do check there when I'm sitting down to design more pages. You can always send me an email, carly@familytreenotebooks.com, and I will add those pages to my list. I don't have a timeline. Like if you were to reach out and say, I want this page, when can I have it? I don't have a timeline for those right now. I've got a lot of different projects going on, and I actually am not taking any specific design jobs right now. So people in the past have paid me to make certain pages or to make them faster. I'm not doing that right now because it got a little crazy. There were lots of things going on. I felt like people were waiting too long on me, things like that. So new pages are coming out. But if you have a page that you're dying to have, that's the best way to get that information to me. I do have a book coming out. It's kind of a textbook on how to use Family Tree Notebooks. I'm really excited about it. I'm in the process of actually whittling it down a little bit because I feel like I was trying to download my entire brain into this book. But I'm hoping that that's going to be out. November 1st is the absolute latest that I want to see that out and available. I'm also trying to figure out how to make that available in print for people who don't just want to have the digital book. People have asked before, by the way, when I'm coming out with print pages. I don't have any plans to do that. And there's a really specific reason for that. The pages are supposed to be used over and over again. Like the ancestor profile page in particular, I use that for all of my ancestors. If you were buying those one at a time from me, there's no way for me to make that. There's no way for me to price that in a way that's going to be affordable for everybody and still, worth it for my business. Because, like, let's say you did $1 a page for every printed page that you needed. My ancestor books are easily 800 to 1,000 pages long. I don't want. If you guys are going to spend $800 to $1,000 on your genealogy, I want you to buy scanners. I want you to buy courses. I want you to buy other books or my books or buy other colors in my pages. I don't want you to spend all that money on pages when you can get the digital ones and print them out at home. And I know that there are people that you don't have color printers or you're worried about the ink. I mean, by the time we're talking $800 to $1,000, you can definitely get a really nice printer and ink for that and be able to just have that at home. I'll do another chat, like another morning chat like this about paper and ink and how to make that affordable. But that's the reason that I don't have printed pages. It's that balance of, obviously like Family Tree Notebooks is a business, but I really want my system to be affordable. I think a lot of people who buy the pages are on fixed incomes right now this year. I mean, it doesn't even matter if you're on a fixed income, everybody's feeling the financial strain. So I certainly would never want to be part of a business that was just like costing you money every single time you needed a new page. So that's why they're digital. So yeah, the book's coming out. There is a course coming out. I promised on Instagram that I would talk about this a little bit. People have been asking me for a course, and it's just kind of been an overwhelming thought because just trying to think, how would I teach somebody everything I know about genealogy? I finally walked it back and realized that that's not really what people are asking for. People want a course on how to build a family tree notebook using the pages. I can 100% teach that. So I got some help organizing that, figuring out how that was going to go. I now have a timeline. The course is going to start in January. I'm not sure when the first round will be available for people to enroll. I will say the first one's going to be a beta test. It will be a little bit cheaper because I want to make sure that I know exactly how it's going to go and that I work out all the kinks before I charge full price. Because of that, it's going to be a limited number of students, and I'm going to open that up to people in the Family Tree Notebooks genealogy group first, just because I'm not even really sure how to make that fair for enrollment. It's not going to be a free course. I am going to continue to have free videos. I will do free blog posts. I will do things like this, but I am not going to have a full course be free. So if you're hoping for a free course, just keep watching the videos. Okay, so the topic today, so who should not use Family Tree Notebooks? I feel like I've never really talked about this, but then I guess it kind of makes sense. I don't think McDonald's puts out a lot of content on who shouldn't eat at McDonald's. But there is a group of people who should not be using Family Tree Notebooks pages because they're digital. So here's the thing. I love the Family Tree Notebook system. I stand by it 100%. Sorry, I keep moving the phone because I'm trying to figure out how to get the glasses glare off. I stand by my system 100%. I think it's great. I think it's the simplest way to create a physical, tangible family history story that you can share with other people. And I think it's a great way to corral your research into something that makes sense because it's simple. Because we all understand how to file things. We can fill in worksheets. Like my system's basically everything that going to a K through 12 public school prepared you for. You fill in the blank. Do you have that information? No. Well, then that means that you need to look for the information, or maybe you find a different worksheet because what you have goes on a different sheet. It's very simple. There is, however, a hurdle. The hurdle being when you buy the pages, they're digital. You need to have the ability to download digital pages, open them on your computer, and then most people, you can just print them out and fill them out by hand. There are people that are doing that, and I've seen beautiful books done that way. That's a lot. It's a lot of handwriting. I handwrite my pages on my iPad, but because it's the iPad, I can lasso things and copy and paste and things like that. So I'm still not writing everything out. Writing everything out and cutting photos up by hand is a lot of work. I'm glad that the pages are available for people that are willing to do that and who maybe, just wanted some pages to add into things that they already had. I totally understand. Most of us are adding text and photos before we're printing out the pages. So you need to be able to download the pages. You need to be able to figure out a way to add text and photos. I use GoodNotes on my iPad. Other people use GoodNotes on their Macs. People use Adobe Acrobat. People use different PDF programs. That is on my to-do list, by the way. I know I need to fix the how to add text and photos to PDFs tutorial. Something happened to the images, and I'm not sure what. But I'm going to do that not only for Adobe Acrobat, but for some of the other popular ones that people are using. So you can look for that soon. But anyway, you need to be able to add text and photos. And then for most of us, you need to be able to print it out, because that is kind of the design. The point is that you end up with something physical that you can actually put into a book or that you can share. I send my digital PDF notebooks, I send them to relatives sometimes. I do have most of my research, I guess, locked in my iPad. So, keeping digital pages isn't a problem for me. But when it comes to the actual notebooks, I print them out because I want, if something happens, I want there to be a copy in the world of my work. So if you have the ability to download the pages and add text and photos, but you can't print them out, that could be another problem. So that's the group of people that I'm talking to, and I say this might not be for you. If the digital hurdle is just too high, you're just not comfortable with computers, you don't like sitting in front of computers, you don't like using tablets, you just aren't interested in using a system that requires that kind of tech, that kind of machinery, Family Tree notebooks really might not work for you. And I wouldn't want you to buy the pages and then not use them because you don't like using your computer, or because you don't feel like you can get yourself to a place where you can use them easily and it just feels like a giant hassle. That's the exact opposite of what I'm trying to do with these pages. The whole point of this is that it takes your information off of the computer, where it could be trapped in Ancestry.com or in software that you've bought, and then you put it into something, a simple piece of paper that makes sense to you and makes sense to everybody else. So if that process feels complicated and uncomfortable and makes you feel dumb or frustrated, then it's not for you. Then I would suggest finding another way, at least for now, to organize your research, and then maybe down the road, as you get more comfortable with technology, maybe you could come back to it later, or maybe you just find a different way to tell your story. I think that that's completely reasonable. My father is a really good example of this kind of person. My dad is probably the smartest person that I know. He is a doctor, or he was a doctor. He's retired now. He's very, 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 very bright. The man hates computers, hates them. Anything that I introduce that has to do with filling out a form on a computer or even looking something up on a computer, he is not interested. He's not going to want to do it. He's frustrated before I even finish explaining what it is that we're talking about. It's just not for him. This genealogy system would make no sense for him. He likes looking at the pages that I finish. He likes flipping through the actual paper books. But yeah, if I handed him an iPad and told him to flip through a digital notebook, he would just hand the iPad right back. If you are like my dad, this is not for you. If you are not sure, if you are interested, you don't mind computers, but you've never added text and photo to PDFs, and you've never built a digital notebook, you've never put pages together like that, and that hurdle is potentially overwhelming, I will say go with the tester pages. So when you sign up for my email list, you get 3 sample pages. You get the ancestor profile, death records, and the first page of the index. And if you've signed up for my email list and for some reason you don't have those, just drop me an email and I can fix that. I can send those pages to you. Experiment with those pages. Get into the group, look around at the tutorials that I've put up, ask questions, see what other programs people are using if you don't want to use the ones that I've recommended, and see if you can get yourself to a place where you're able to add photos and text and you feel comfortable doing that, and you can imagine doing that for 20 or 30 of your relatives. And then once you're there, then go ahead and purchase the pages, because then you can do it and you're comfortable and you know what you're doing and you won't start out being frustrated. If your frustration is because you're having a hard time downloading the pages or getting them onto your tablet, I have videos about that and I can help you with that. Do not let that stop you, because when you think about it, once you figure that out, you never have to do that again unless you buy another color. That is not a reason to not do your genealogy. The other huge reason that I see that people give me for why my system won't work is because they have too many ancestors. They've done too much research. They have over 1,000 people in their Ancestry.com tree, and so it doesn't make any sense because they can't imagine doing a page for all of those ancestors. I completely understand that, and at the same time, I don't think that it's valid. And you can tell me in the comments if you think I'm crazy, but here's the thing. Most of us have parts of our family tree that we are more focused on. I have almost 2,000 people in my family tree and ancestry.com. I do not have 2,000 people in my notebooks. My notebooks focus first on all of my notebooks start with my parents as the root people. So my notebooks are focused on my parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, and it goes up through, the first 4 generations. Some of those books I go farther, but most of the books are really just focused on that number of people because those are more immediate to me, and those are the stories that I really want to make sure don't get lost. Those are the photos that I want to make sure my kids know who are in the photos so they can identify them. That's a very tangible personal family history for me. The 2,000 relatives that I have in my ancestry.com, some of those people are really close to me. Some of those people are people who married people who were 8 generations back that I couldn't tell you off the top of my head anything about those people. So I think if your research is locked in a system like that, where it's just thousands of people and they're all kind of like glommed together, and you're stuck in this cycle of not being able to really tell anybody's story because it's so overwhelming and there's so many stories. You have to remember, one, the Family Tree Notebooks thing, it's not supposed to replace things like Ancestry.com. I am totally Ancestry reliant. I also use Family Search. This is a system to help you tell the story in a tangible way. You don't have to tell your whole genealogical research story. I'm not even sure, depending on who your family members are, depending on the people that you're planning on leaving your research to, they might not even want your whole story. This is more for you to create something to capture a lot of detail about very specific levels of your genealogy. And I think it's completely valid to have all of your research and then to also have, Family Tree Notebooks, books that are just this surefire way of being able to tell that story, being able to organize those photos and documents, being able to gift that. Again, even the relatives that I have that are interested in genealogy, none of them, as I figured out, none of them want all 2,000 people at the same time. I have actually realized that when I have shown up with a notebook that has 80 people in it, and I want to talk about all 80 life stories because all 80 of them are fascinating to me, that is too much for my relatives. It doesn't matter that they are also related to these people. After the first 2, they gloss right over. Unless somebody's a criminal or a celebrity or had some really salacious marriage, they cannot care past maybe the first 8 people. So, that's the other thing, is that you have to think about, why are you creating a family tree notebook? And if you're creating it for other people, I think like a lot of us are, or if you're creating it because these 7 or 8 people are incredibly important to you and you want to gather and save as much of their life story as you possibly can, then a family tree notebook totally makes sense as a complementary part of your genealogy work, in addition to the thousands of files and records that you might have for somebody else. So I do not think that is a valid reason to absolutely not use the system. Hating computers with the passion that my father hates computers is a valid reason to not use the system. Okay, I'm going to wrap up. Okay, I don't think I have any comments. If I have comments, then I can't actually see them. But yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. If there's anything in particular that you want me to cover, let me know. It was fun to check in with you guys. Welcome to October. This is my favorite month. Happy October. And happy 1 month closer to not being in 2020 anymore, because I feel like we are all ready for that. All right, have a great day.